Jai Hind. In this video, I am going to talk about the second OLQ, that is reasoning ability. Reasoning ability is one of the most important OLQs and also a core quality. Now, what exactly is a core quality, I'll tell after some time. But before that, I will just tell you an incident. So, 3 days back, I was doing feedback of one boy, and there is this picture of no vacancy. So there is a boy who is looking quite perplexed, and behind him there is a board which says no vacancy. Now, no vacancy is a very simple situation, right? It's a situation where in the society or in the places around you there is no job, right? There is no vacancy. So what happened with that boy was he wrote a story where a character named Ram worked very hard for an interview. He worked day and night and he cleared the interview. But then in the last stage, what happened was that when he submitted his documents, so his father's name spelling was different in two of the documents. So because of which he was removed and he did not get the job. So now if you see, the boy blamed himself for the situation, or the boy blamed his documents for the situation. Maybe something like this would have happened to him in some stage of life. But this is not it. After this, there was another boy. So this boy, he wrote that Ram applied for an interview. He worked very hard. He gave his best. But sadly and unfortunately, he was not able to clear the interview. He failed. And whatever he was applying for, he was not getting it. Now again, the situation is the situation of no vacancy, but the child is blaming himself. Then a third student. So this third student belonged to a low caste, and then he told me the problems that his grandfather had faced because of that low caste. So he wrote a story where the boy cleared the interview and did not get the job because of his caste. But the picture does not say that the boy is not getting the job because of his caste. The picture only says that there is no vacancy. Then why is someone writing like that? They are writing like this because that is an unresolved emotion in their heart. You have to remember, your psychology is not your experience, but your psychology is what you felt or what you carried on, after that incident happened. Now, this is where reasoning ability comes to play. Reasoning ability, by definition, is the ability to see things logically, analyze things logically, and use them logically. Now, when we talk about reasoning ability, most of the people are like, be logical, and everyone wants to be logical. Who wants to be illogical? But what happens is, the opposite of logic is emotions. And when we are emotionally affected by something, we start becoming like illogical people. So there is this one thing which I find illogical, which is not really illogical. So I am having two very small dogs, and if someone comes to my house, so I've seen even people who are very strongly built, they'll look at the dog and they'll be like, dog, dog, dog. They want to go away. Now logically, a small puppy is not going to hurt them. But why are they scared of the dog? Because something like that happened in their past. Maybe a dog had bit them, or maybe somebody close to them was bitten by a dog. So this is where your reasoning ability comes. Many students, when they look at a picture, automatically they will connect it to something in their own life. Like, I have seen people writing these kinds of stories as well, that if there is a sad boy, they will write that, Ram went through a breakup, then he started smoking, he started drinking, he took something and something. Why are they writing it? They are writing only because of emotions. Now, what happens to us when we are hurt? When we are hurt by something, we consciously make efforts about not thinking about it and not talking to it also sometimes. But when we are hurt and when we hold on to those emotions, so we consciously might not hold on to those emotions, but everything is stored in our subconscious mind. So when there is unresolved trauma in our subconscious mind, a person is always unknowingly in a survival mode. They are not really in a logical mode. Like if you have been bitten by a dog and there's a puppy in front of you, and you know logically that the puppy might not hurt you, but you're still scared of it. It happens because the brain rushes back into the survival mode. And not everyone is like that. Some people who are having some unresolved issues in their heart, what happens to them is they are always in a state of survival. And when you're always in a state of survival, you cannot think logically. You are bound to think according to fight, flight, freeze, or anything. I will make a separate video on survival and this fight, flight, freeze, which I said. But all of us tend to have certain survival behaviors, and some of us tend to have it more than others. And it can be changed very easily as well. So I had this student and he was writing extremely negative content. Means in every story, pilot was choking, someone was dying, disaster was happening, his parents were dying, and it was very bad. So I made him sit, I gave him some water, and I talked to him and I asked him, what happened to you? So he told me that one day when he reached to his home, he saw that his mother was home alone and there was a cylinder blast. And in the cylinder blast, he saw her dying in front of his own eyes. And then when I told him how to release the emotions, how to let go of the things, after that he wrote very nice content. And not only him, this has been the case with many students like that. There was another boy and his psychology was good. But the only thing that he lacked was he was never courageous. He would never take any initiative. Whatever work would be given to him, he'll do that. And I asked him, why, what are you scared of? So he cried and he told me about something very bad which had happened to him at some stage of their lives. And I'll tell you one thing, I'm not trying to tell that anyone who is hurt can't make it. Anyone who is hurt and victimizes themselves and does not try to improve upon it or does not try to resolve it tends to have some problems. It's not that they are never recommended, they can be recommended, because not only one assessor is required for your selection. Even if one assessor passes you, two assessors keep you in doubt case, you can still get recommended, and some people do get recommended like that. But what I am trying to tell you all is that you have to ensure that your emotions, your resolved, unresolved emotions, should not take the best out of you. And then you should not write content about the things which you would usually not want to tell somebody about. So that is not really a good thing. Now again, when we move forward with reasoning ability also talks about the grasping power. So I have seen this, sometimes the SRTs will be like this, that let's say some match was going to happen and your partner's parents passed away, and some students will in a hurry kill their own parents and they'll write things according to Virat Kohli and all. But again, you have to remember this, that be mindful of whatever is given to you, read the situation properly, and then you have to respond to it. Because what happens when you are in a hurry, your grasping ability decreases. Sometimes you don't listen to the situation properly. Now, reasoning ability is also responsible for affecting your mindset in a manner in which you start writing preconceived things. See, what is preconceived notion? Preconceived things happen to us when we are not seeing things as they are, but we are running with any past kind of emotion. Okay, let's say there is a picture in which a student is sitting, and let's say you failed in one paper but you performed exemplary in other papers. Let's say you failed in it because for that particular day you had to go on something more important than that and all. But when you are writing that story, automatically you'll start writing about the boy was not able to write the exam. But there were incidents in your life where you were able to write the things also. So don't go for those things. Now I'll tell you are certain pointers which affect your reasoning ability. If you need it more, I'll make another video on it. So I'll tell certain things. Okay. The first behavior is known as catastrophizing. Now, in simple words, it means assuming the worst. Okay. some of us, some of the people, so their childhood was like this, or some incident happened in their life like this, that they have developed the habit of assuming the worst case scenario in each and every situation. No matter what happens, they'll always assume the worst. Someone is not picking the call, they don't like them, they have passed away, or something bad has happened. They'll always be assuming the worst. Now, when these students are writing stories, you can't expect them to, think positive and write good stories. They cannot, because it is their habit. Now, if you are somebody like this who has developed the habit of assuming the worst case scenarios, now you need to start talking opposite to yourself. Like, let's say you're going to a shop, you suddenly think that the shop might not have good products. You tell your mind, but what if it has good products? You start talking opposite to your mind, okay? See, what happens with our mind is that our mind is just a collection of memories. Whatever people have told you, whatever you have told yourself, whatever you have watched in TV, and whatever your friends are talking about, it becomes your own inner voice. That means if someone tells you constantly you're worth it, your inner voice will tell you you're worth it. But if people around you are constantly telling you you're not worth it, your inner voice will tell you you're not worth it. So surround yourself with positive people. People who are assuming the worst, stay away from them. Or if they are your friend, try to talk opposite to them. Your friend says, what if this goes wrong? You tell your friend, what if this goes right? Means try a little to be positive. So this was the first one, assuming the worst case scenario. Now when these people will look at a picture, so there is a picture in which an old lady is picking up a 3, 4, 5-year-old boy and crying. So some students will write that the boy has polio, the boy is mentally retarded, and his leg got cut. She's never going to see him again. But she could be meeting him after so many days, and she could be crying because of that also. Or she could be crying because they are going somewhere foreign or something. So why do you have to assume the worst? If there are two people who look in a serious mood, so you don't have to kill someone. They could be thinking very seriously about a work topic. Actually, while watching the video, if you just simply turn on your front camera, you will see that your expression is also not very positive. But just because it's neutral, that doesn't mean that it's a bad thing, right? So this was the first, assuming the worst case scenario, okay? The second behavior, or the second kind of thought process which affects your reasoning ability, is known as black and white thinking. So now this is a behavior in psychology which has multiple names: black and white thinking, polarized thinking, extremist thinking, and all or nothing thinking. So in this, what you do is you either believe that things are good or things are bad. You don't believe in the gray areas. Either you think things are black or things are white. So what these kinds of people tend to do is they start getting very idealistic. Now obviously there is nothing wrong in being idealistic, but when you're over idealistic, what happens is that again you don't see things as they are. Like if you see a student making an aeroplane, so you'll write that the student was a bad student and he was wasting time and all, but he could also be doing it for fun. Then these people will always write best case scenarios, worst case scenarios. Rohan was the best player of the cricket. Then one should never, should also you don't have to use, but there'll be too much of never, too much of always. Either their mothers will be extremely good mothers or it will be extremely bad mothers. So don't be a person who is polarized, because when you're polarized, what happens is you cannot see things logically. And when you cannot see things logically, again, your reasoning ability tends to be affected. The third behavior is also known as magnification, okay? So when we talk about magnification, in simple words, magnification is also known as exaggeration, okay? So some people, they have the habit of exaggerating the good things as well as the bad things. Like they'll get a pimple and they'll say, oh my God, I have got cancer or something. But this is an extreme example, but there are many people like that. Now, the problem with them is not that they only speak exaggerated things, but sadly, psychologically, they also feel it in an exaggerated manner. You will see that there are some people, and when we look at their problem, we'll be like, this is such a little problem. But for them, it will mean the world. For little things, they'll be doing bad activities to themselves because they have the habit of magnifying things, exaggerating things. Let's say there's a picture in which a boy is having a scratch in his finger, but he writes a story that the boy broke his arm. Now, this is magnification, this is exaggerating the problem. And why is he exaggerating the problem? Because he was only able to handle things in his life with extremes. Many of these tend to have these all or nothing parents. When parents tend to be very idealistic, many times psychologically they raise children who tend to magnify the things. Like I remember I am also like that. So I remember that once I told my mother when I was very little that I want to grow nice hair and I should put egg on my hair for that. And my mother was like, why are you saying egg? I'm going to vomit. Means I am also like that, and don't give me egg things. But it was an extreme. And when we meet idealistic people who will hear these things, vomit and all, then what happens is their children tend to have, or the people around them, if your girlfriend or boyfriend is like that, you will develop this behavior known as exaggeration. You'll feel things in an exaggerated manner. When I was in my school, one of my classmates fell down during a physical education race, and she was having knee pain. So when I was looking at it, I was thinking कि इतना ज़्यादा कहाँ लगा है. But she was not even able to walk. So at that time I was like, why is she doing it so much? But then afterwards, when I studied psychology, I understood that she was not doing it much. She was feeling it much. And when you are already feeling things in an exaggerated manner, obviously in your psychology also you'll write things in an exaggerated manner. You'll not be able to reason out things there. After this, the next thing that tends to happen is, some people, what they do is they only see things partially. So this thing by term is known as selective interpretation, or you can call it half understanding or half seeing of things. For example, you call somebody, they don't pick up, you think that they are ignoring you, but maybe they are stuck in a problem themselves. This is a selective thinking of situation. See, sometimes what will happen is someone will come to you, tell half things to you, and you'll make an opinion about it and react. And later when you come to know the whole scenario, you'll think, no, the situation was not like that. Many times this happens to all of us, right? If you know about Julius Caesar, so everyone helped in assassinating Julius Caesar, but when they came to know that he had given the land and everything to the common people only, then they felt ki no, we did wrong. I'm not very good in GK, so I don't know too many examples, but this is what happened in the story. So this is known as half understanding of the situation or selective interpretation of the situation. When you look at the picture, there are 5 characters in the picture, but you only see one character and you write your story. This is selective interpretation, half understanding of the situation. So now this is a bad thing. So do not be a person who only sees situations partially and jumps impulsively. And please understand this, if you have the habit of doing that, you're not a wrong person, you're not a bad person. Anyone who is in a survival mode, it's not easy for them to see things logically. They will see things impulsively, they will react emotionally. People who are not hurt can see things logically, but people who are hurt tend to see things emotionally. So this is why take any activity and start doing it, mindfulness activity, and start doing it on a regular basis. You can try yoga nidra, you can try any kind of meditation. If meditation does not work for you, you can try chanting something. If that doesn't work for you, you can try moving. There are certain dynamic meditations also which you can find in YouTube. Do anything which calms your mind, okay? And again, one behavior is known as jumping to conclusions. Now, jumping to conclusions is impulsive thinking only. You listen to things half and you jump to conclusion. Like you were reading that there's this SRT that you have an important exam the next day, and the light suddenly went away. The time right now is 10 o'clock and there's no power source backup in the house. And then immediately maximum students will be like, they'll sleep, they'll go to the neighbor's house and study. But it is 10 o'clock, it's not 10 a.m., it's not 10 p.m. So don't jump to conclusions. Read things properly, give things benefit of doubt, understand them properly, and then react. Okay, so these are certain behaviors which affect your reasoning ability. If you want to have good reasoning ability, do mindfulness activities. And please remember, everyone in the universe, every creature has the same mental capacity. Every human particularly has the same mental capacity. Whatever your brain has, my brain has. Whatever my brain has, someone else's brain has. Whatever their brain has, Einstein had. Whatever Einstein had, Stephen Hawking had. Whatever Stephen Hawking had, Bhagat Singh had. We all have the same mind. It depends on how and how much are we able to use it. And if you will try, you will be able to use it more and more. And if you're not able to use it that much, means you're emotional, don't be hard on yourself. Maybe you would have gone through certain things which made you like that, because two people who look very similar on the outside are not equal. I have seen people going to their SSBs when their father had cancer, when their mother had died with something, when they were themselves working part-time in a petrol pump, as a salesman in some company, as a delivery boy. I saw a girl who was going for her SSB, whose mother was a housemaid, whose father was a cab driver. So you don't have to compare yourself with someone who is getting everything on their plate. Everyone is fighting their own battles, and some people are fighting more than others. And that does not make you less privileged or victimized. That only makes you stronger than others. If you can handle life, you have to think that obviously you can handle SSB. And if you want to develop anything, you can. So core quality, I'll just tell, some of you would not be watching this until now also. So when we talk about a core quality means a quality, I have forgotten I told it before or not. So core quality is a quality which is a self-trainable quality. It's a quality which cannot be taught to you by anybody else. It is only something that you can teach yourself. Okay, the person who wrote Ramayana, he was Maharshi Valmiki. So Maharshi Valmiki used to be a dacoit, but he had a change of his heart, and then he became a rishi, and then he wrote Ramayana. Vishwamitra, who gave Gayatri mantra to the world, he was also full of spite, jealousy. He tried to kill 18 family members of Rishi Vashisht, and he got them killed in a very bad manner. But still he had a change of his heart and he became a Brahma Rishi. But when Mahabharata was happening, at that time, Draupadi comes to know that all her sons would be killed in the war. So she goes to Krishna and she says that, your God, please change the heart of Kauravas so that there is no war. And Krishna tells her that I cannot change their heart. Only they and themselves alone can change their heart. So only you and yourself alone can change yourself. No one else can, not me, not any other teacher, not any other assessor, not God. You will have to step up, you will have to take control of your life, and you will have to change your life. And remember, if you can fight your thoughts, your bad thoughts, then there is nothing in the world that you cannot fight. So do very well. Thank you.